February 14th, 2025 was a pivotal day on the world stage. From shifting international alliances to critical government decisions, major events unfolded, reshaping diplomacy, security, and the global balance of power. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has raised concerns over the recent phone conversation between U.S. President Donald Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin. He found it troubling that Trump spoke with Putin before contacting him, questioning Ukraine's role in future peace talks. Trump's 90-minute conversation with Putin centered on initiating negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. Afterward, Trump briefed Zelensky on their discussion, but the sequence of events has sparked uncertainty about Ukraine's position in the diplomatic process. Zelensky stressed that Ukraine must be directly involved in any negotiations. He warned against relying on Putin's assurances of peace, emphasizing that Russia's intentions should not be taken at face value. He also highlighted the risks of sidelining Ukraine, insisting that any talks must prioritize Ukraine's security and sovereignty. Ignoring Ukraine's role in negotiations, he argued, could lead to an unfavorable outcome for the country and the broader region. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the Munich Security Conference. Their conversation centered on the ongoing conflict in Ukraine and the possibility of negotiations between Ukraine and Russia following President Donald Trump's push for peace talks. On February 14th, 2025, a Russian drone carrying a high explosive warhead struck the protective shell of the Chernobyl nuclear reactor in Ukraine. The attack caused damage to the structure and ignited a brief fire, but radiation levels remain normal and stable, according to the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA. The incident sparked concerns about potential radioactive leaks, though the risk was deemed low due to the plant's age and the containment measures in place. Russia denied any involvement in the attack, instead accusing Ukraine of staging a false flag operation. The United Arab Emirates, UAE, has called for a humanitarian pause in the Sudan war during the upcoming Muslim holy month of Ramadan. This initiative aims to facilitate the delivery of much-needed aid to those affected by the conflict. The UAE also pledged an additional $200 million in humanitarian aid to support Sudan during this period. However, the Sudanese army has rejected the call for a ceasefire, signaling ongoing resistance to international pressure for a break in the fighting. Pope Francis was hospitalized on February 14th, 2025, after struggling to speak during a meeting. He was admitted to the Policlinico Agostino Gemelli in Rome for diagnostic tests and continued treatment for bronchitis, which he has been battling for over a week. The 88-year-old pontiff had been experiencing breathing difficulties, but was reportedly mentally alert. However, he struggled to speak for extended periods, raising concerns about his health. Several public events, including a scheduled mass and a planned visit, were subsequently canceled. Thousands of federal employees across multiple U.S. government agencies have been fired as part of the Trump administration's effort to reduce the federal workforce. Many affected workers were recent hires still in their probationary period, making them easier to dismiss without appeal rights. Agencies impacted by the layoffs include the Department of Veterans Affairs, the Department of Education, and the Small Business Administration. Additionally, the administration has attempted to remove employees from the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID. To further shrink the workforce, voluntary buyout packages have been offered to encourage federal employees to leave their positions. A federal judge has issued a temporary restraining order blocking President Donald Trump's executive order that sought to restrict access to gender-affirming medical care for transgender individuals under 19. The directive had aimed to withhold federal funds from providers offering treatments like hormone therapy and puberty suppressants. The judge's ruling prevents the order from being enforced, allowing healthcare providers to continue offering necessary medical care to transgender youth without the risk of losing federal funding. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, CFPB, was closed, with its Washington, D.C. headquarters shuttered. This followed the arrival of operatives from Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, raising concerns about the agency's future and the fate of its staff. Employees were instructed to stay home and cease all work, leaving the agency's operations in limbo. Meanwhile, protests erupted outside the headquarters, with critics condemning the Trump administration and Elon Musk for the abrupt closure. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with Elon Musk at the White House to discuss key topics, including military sales. President Donald Trump announced plans to sell advanced F-35 fighter jets to India, strengthening strategic ties between the two nations. Elon Musk, however, has been critical of the F-35 program, arguing that unmanned drones are a better alternative due to cost and risk factors. The meeting also covered AI policy, the expansion of SpaceX's Starlink services in India, and the potential for Tesla manufacturing in the country. NASA has announced that astronauts Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams, who have been on the International Space Station since September, may return to Earth earlier than planned. Their return is now set for mid-March 2025 instead of late March or April. The schedule adjustment is due to mission planning changes with SpaceX. NASA and SpaceX have opted to use a previously flown Crew Dragon capsule for the next mission, addressing production delays while ensuring the astronauts' safe return. Elon Musk and Bangladesh's interim leader Mohammed Yunus discussed introducing Starlink satellite internet to Bangladesh, aiming to improve connectivity in rural and remote areas. Their conversation emphasized how Starlink could empower youth and women while driving economic growth and digital inclusion. Yunus highlighted the initiative's significance for national development and invited Musk to visit Bangladesh for the potential launch of Starlink services. Musk responded positively, expressing interest in expanding Starlink's reach to support Bangladesh's digital transformation. Tilda Swinton received the Golden Bear for Lifetime Achievement at the 75th Berlin International Film Festival on February 13, 2025, honoring her extensive contributions to cinema. With 26 films featured at the festival, Swinton has been a long-time presence at Berlinale. Having served as the president of the international jury in 2009, she reflected on the festival's impact on her career. In her acceptance speech, she addressed global concerns, criticizing political extremism, environmental degradation, and the rise of authoritarianism. Joe Gebbia, co-founder of Airbnb, has joined the Trump administration to assist Elon Musk in cutting government expenses. As a member of the Department of Government Efficiency, DOE, Gebbia will focus on reducing federal spending and streamlining operations. His close ties with Musk and experience in innovative business models are expected to play a key role in shaping cost-cutting measures. Apple has partnered with Alibaba to bring AI features to iPhones in China, integrating advanced AI capabilities into the devices. This collaboration mirrors Apple's approach in other regions, where Apple Intelligence works with OpenAI's ChatGPT. The partnership, confirmed by Alibaba Group Chairman Joe Tsai, is aimed at helping Apple regain market share in China, where iPhone sales have been declining. It is also seen as a strategic move, with Alibaba providing local expertise to help Apple navigate regulatory challenges and localize its AI offerings. That's all for today's top news from February 14th, 2025. Stay tuned for more updates and follow us for the latest headlines. Be sure to check back tomorrow for the most important news from February 15th.